Okay, we should be live. Everything looks good. Hi, everyone. Welcome on in to this first playthrough that we've done. It's first time for most of us here of Microscope, which I've mostly only read the little catchphrase, literally from their website, which says a fractal, which is an interesting word to start your explanation of your game with, role-playing game of epic histories. So that's what we're doing today. I'm Jess. Hi, this is my channel. Thanks for being here, and I'm with these cool people, and we're gonna play games. Hi, Antan.
Hi, I'm Antan. Antan Kamala on Twitter and more or less everywhere.
CB loves you.
I like tea.
Go dear heart.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm surprised by this. I didn't know.
Obviously, I've not been paying attention.
Thank you for that resub. And then Jason, hi.
Hi, I'm Jason. If you just saw me here a few hours ago, it's because I was just here a few hours ago.
You're not
but I'm back.
imagining things.
I just live here now. Yeah, and this is my first time playing Microscope. I've heard a lot about it, but I've never played it before.
Awesome. Jordan.
Hi, I'm Jordan. I'm the person who's played Microscope before. We'll learn as we go, because it is like a, take one thing at a time kind of thing, but I will go over the basic rules now. But yeah, I like it a lot. Everyone, at least in Jess's Discord, is all in like world building and storytelling mode, and this is one of my favorite kind of world building storytelling games. So I'm introducing it to everyone to hopefully so they can all add it to their toolkits. Right, we're ready to go?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We are ready.
Can do.
So Microscope is the game of creating a world through its history. So we're going to build a timeline, which is going to have some bookends that we're going to determine at the beginning. We've actually talked a little bit about it, and we will be adding that soon. And then we're going to take turns adding pieces to this timeline. So if you can imagine a straight line, beginning and end, and then we are going to be adding different moments to that timeline in order to flesh out what's happened. So what is interesting about this game compared to, say, a more standard storytelling game is that we don't have to be linear with our things. We can jump around in time. We can create things and then destroy them, or we can destroy the thing first before it's even been created. It's a neat system. A golden rule is that if it is your turn, you are the final decider for what happens, and you have pretty much full reign. There's nothing you can't really do, which includes trashing something that someone else created or whatever. That being said, this isn't a competitive game. We are supposed to work together to tell a story. And the great thing about time travel is that if something you love got destroyed, you just jump back into the timeline when it's still around and tell stories there and expand on it. So the game consists of rounds where one person will play what's called the lens, and they are literally they're deciding what lens we're looking through when we're telling our story. So we've decided earlier that we're going to tell a story about the rise and fall of an empire through the point of view of its main capital city. We're going to determine a little more detail about what the city is like before we get started, but I will quickly use that simple idea to give examples. So the lens, I'm going to be the first lens for the game. The lens is going to decide what the focus is, and the focus can be anything, but it'll have to do with our story. So in my case, my focus could be, my focus is the construction of the railway. And that's all I have to say. Our city now has a railway. I've invented that. And now everyone's going to be adding items to the timeline that revolve around that focus. Okay? Or maybe it's the invention of weather control technology. Whatever. I come up with whatever I want. That becomes the focus. And that means think of it as the prompt, and all of you will be working from that prompt. The lens also gets to make a lot more decisions and add more things. Because they're interested in what they picked, obviously, and so we're each going to take turns playing the lens. On your turn, you're going to be able to add one thing to the timeline, and there's the deck. All the decks of cards are the exact same, so you just need to drag the appropriate thing onto the map. You'll see there's light and dark circles on them, and I'll explain what those mean in a second. The highest level is the period. Think of this as like the Bronze Age is what would be written on here. You know, it's a large span of time or an undefined span of time, and it is the biggest, highest top-down view of a part of the timeline that's possible. So you do not go into a lot of details with this. So for us, this my first act of being interested in the invention of weather control technology could be Professor Ginger invents the thing, or it could be something like weather control apocalypse, whatever we want to write on this. But you know, you want these periods to be broad, very broad brushstrokes. Then the next type of card, which is tucked underneath a period, is called an event. They're turned the other way for easy differentiation. An event is a zoomed in on this type of thing. So let's go back to my train example. Maybe my period is called the railway years, and the event underneath is the first crash. You know, the train crashes for the first time. Again, that's all you write on there. It's just zoomed in specific about the period above it. Lastly, there are scenes. Scenes get tucked in underneath or into technically events. I think my suggestion will be to put it beside the event because of reasons. And an event is our chance to roleplay characters. An event inside of the first crash could involve the crash itself. It could be the cover-up to say the crash never happened, whatever we want to do. When you run an event, you pose a question. So in my case, it would be like, why did Snidely Whiplash put the dynamite on the tracks? So that's our question for the scene. And then we roleplay to find out the answer. And as soon as we get the answer to that question, that scene is done. And then we mark it down on the card that the scene is done. And now we know, and that's become fact. When a scene happens and you want to roleplay it out, you divvy up some characters. So one of us could be Snidely Whiplash, one of us could be Dudley Do-Right, you know, one of us could be the dog, or whatever. And then we just start playing. Jess, you have a question? Or do I need to explain who Snidely Whiplash is?
When do I get to be the puppy?
Yeah, well, I'm using this as an example. If we're telling the cartoon timeline of Dudley Do-Right, I mean, I'm all for it, but yeah.
Every scene is now going to have a puppy.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
This is puppy world now. I hope you're happy.
Puppy city.
Yep.
Population, Jess.
Just wait till Jess's lens.
Jess and a million puppies.
My focus is puppies. So yeah. So those are the three kind of structures, and on your turn you're going to get to add one. So you can't do an event without nesting it under a period, and you can't do a scene without nesting it under an event. You can't just have a drifting scene or event in the timeline. The colors on the bottom represent that it's either a light thing that's happened or a dark thing that's happened. And that's one part of it that we can discuss. So we can say, is this good or bad overall? And really, this is just to give us an idea of how things are going overall in our timeline at a glance. You can see all the little white and black dots. So technically, you know, you'd be playing this game on index cards, and it would only fill in the black or white dot at the end. But for our purposes, you know, we'll swap out the card with a different color if we decide it's because really, especially with the scenes, role playing is the way to find out. You can, however, if you really want a specific outcome, you can just dictate a scene and say, this is the question, this is what it looked like, and the reason Snidely Whiplash did it was because he wanted a lot of gold. That's usually, I think, what he wants. Or to hurt Dudley Do-Right's girlfriend, the Princess of Canada. I don't remember. Yeah. So you can just dictate it, beginning, middle, end. Don't role play it out. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, and we'll go into detail about these as needed. As the lens, you get to add 2 on your first turn, and you get another turn at the end where you get to add 2 as well, and they have to be nested into each other. And then someone's going to get to, I'll worry about that when we get to it. But basically every round we pick something that's important and it becomes like this linchpin in the story, and we can start referring back to the linchpin as we go. Do I have any questions? Do you have any questions? I don't have any questions.
I was about to say, do you?
Well, now I really want to know why Snidely Whiplash died. But beyond that, yeah. Anyone have any questions? Sort of straightforward, sort of complicated?
Not yet.
I think I need to see it like play out.
Yeah.
I don't think I can fully.
The important thing is on your turn, your decision is your own.
Yep.
If you do something that belongs to you and it's done, periods and events don't have any role playing associated with them. They're literally just making a decision, putting it onto the timeline, and saying this is a thing that happened or this is a period now, that kind of thing. There's no grand RPG thing there. Scenes are where we get to do specific characters. But the very first thing we need to do is determine our palette. We have our basic idea. Actually, we should do our bookends first. So we are telling the story of a empire through its capital city. Did we settle on the scope? Do we want to start from the founding of the city and go all the way to the empire's fall, or what?
We don't want anything pre-physical foundation of the city?
You want the beginning to be there was
the concept of the city?
Yeah. Well, remember,
someone was like, you know what's a real issue? There aren't enough cities entirely focused on puppies. And that
yeah. And so the thing you want first is that how come, or the dark ages, the puppyless dark age.
Yeah, the puppyless dark ages. No, I'm not serious, but like I'm just
so our starting point
is
the first puppy.
I'm giving the example of like, are we starting it at like literally the physical building of a city, or is it?
Keep in mind we're going to establish with periods at the beginning, and these are huge, broad categories. So if we write the founding of the city, that could be everything from when there was no city to when the ribbon was cut on City Hall to the city is established. You know what I mean? Like it's a nebulous, indefinite amount of time where we can tell all kinds of stuff inside. So the events underneath, the city is founded is our period, but the events underneath is the ribbon cutting ceremony or finding the land. You know what I mean? So we
could say that our start point is the founding of the city, but that is fuzzy enough that.
That's right. We can tell all kinds of stories about it, including periods where or events, that happened before the actual city is built. The other question is to start to decide if this is a dark or light thing that's happened. The founding of the city.
I'd say a light thing.
Okay. So we're going with the glorious city on the hill kind of the ideal. Yeah.
Yes, plus puppies cannot be dark.
That's right. Well, maybe, Cruella de Vil
Puppies weren't dark, though.
No, but her intentions were
true.
Puppies. All right, so I'll just write this in here. I really love Roll20, but I also hate it. And I will say no more.
Yes.
The founding.
I think that applies to everybody, to be honest.
Yep.
And again, we don't need to define anything else. And then all the way at the end of our timeline, we'll have the last thing, which is going to be the city falls or the empire falls, or.
I'd like to suggest that it's the fall of the city itself, rather than what happens to the empire afterwards.
Sure. All right.
I'm good with that.
Dark or light?
I think they're probably pretty dark.
Well, it would be interesting if...
It could be light if the city is evil by that point.
Yeah.
It could be.
Yeah.
We want to do that?
Want to try that out? We'll have to start coming up with good reasons why the city's gone. I like that a lot. All right.
They started out good, but by the end, not so much.
Evil.
So I'll write something maybe like the city is defeated. Just to, as though there was a good reason for that to happen. So I think I can group these things together to make them a little easier to move around with the text. I think you have to double click on them in order to collect everything in the group. So we shouldn't have to move them too much, but yeah. All right, now what we do is establish our palette. This is the flavor, it's the top left corner here, and the flavor of things we want in this story and things we don't want. So I'll start, and we just take turns adding one thing to either category until someone decides they don't want to do it anymore. And then our palette will be done. The suggestions, cancel that, I don't know what that was gonna do. The suggestion in the books is that we put things in the yes column that you wouldn't normally find in this kind of story, and we put things in the no column that are stereotypical. So kind of force us into situations where we have to kind of come up with our own stuff. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna put in the no column, I'm gonna say no air travel.
Hmm.
No. All right. So if we're going in order, Jess, you can add something to the yes or no.
Oh, that's like I literally was scrolling across the map looking for that thing, and it's the thing in the top left corner.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I didn't want to like zoom in or out too much because I have the screen just so it's really tiny. I guess I'll have to zoom in. So your ultimate nope. So you get to do an ultimate nope.
Or an ultimate yep.
No air travel.
We could have a yes, puppies.
I'm trying to resist just writing yes, puppies, because I feel like
you're lucky I didn't write no puppies.
That's true. You could have started out right.
You honestly should have.
Now you're doomed.
No cute things.
Flip tables, just like leave. That's unacceptable. That is an X from me, bro. Like that is like no.
Right. You can lock something in that we have to use in the story.
Two things.
Is there like how long a statement can I make? Like
a 30-page dissertation.
Yeah. It's got to be one thing that you're adding to the list.
So it has to be like an element. It can't be like a whole big flavor thing. Like it can't be.
Yeah, no, the flavor stuff's gonna come out from the.
Okay.
What do you want? What do you think?
No, I was thinking about something about like the path of turning evil. I was thinking about.
Oh, you could write no corruption or corruption, like something like that. Corruption in the yes column or corruption in the no column. Or you could write no. If you wanted to make it hard on us, you could write corrupt politicians in the no column, and saying that it can't be a political thing that happens.
However they turned evil, it wasn't corrupt politicians. It's something else.
So you want to zoom in a bit, but you can have limitations like that. That's the point of this. Is it adds little hiccups to our plan.
I don't know. I want to do a thing, but I don't like if
It's your turn. You get to do whatever you want. That's the one rule.
But that I like. Are we all humans in this? Or can we
don't know yet.
Not humans. Can I put humans?
You could put humans in the no column. Yeah.
Yeah. Go for it.
Actually.
Yes. We've given Jess too much power.
So I'm just doing like a text loop.
Apart.
Yep.
Is that how you were doing it?
You could add. You could just double click on my text thing and.
I was trying to, and it wasn't like loading.
Maybe we only
No,
control.
because you did
Yeah.
jam only, I think so.
I can type it in for you if you want.
No.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, make him type everything.
Maybe. Yes, Jordan types everything.
No humans.
No humans. No
Very very Jess.
What's that supposed to mean?
I don't know. That's actually very every D&D player I've ever played with.
Yeah. No humans.
All right, Anton. Yes or no?
Okay. Oh, one for each.
Well, you get to do one, and then we'll loop back around. So.
So that's not working.
Yeah, it's really funky, the text tool. You have to kind of like hold it down and type.
Yeah, once you've typed the
Oh,
letter
right.
in, double click on it. Double click on it with the
Yeah.
and
Huh.
you basically just have to get something typed in.
Yeah, it's so dumb. It's seriously so dumb.
There you go. No magic.
Ooh, interesting. Non-magical non-humans.
I don't know how to resize that.
It's okay. It's not super important as long as we can see it. I think I might be able to.
You could probably just make
There
it
we go.
bigger.
How about some positivity, Jason?
Yeah,
please.
I have an idea.
Please do.
Yes to puppy murders.
Get
Not what I wrote.
What's with you? Get out!
Reincarnation.
You're fired. Oh,
Yes to reincarnation. That's
I like it.
You could have reincarnated puppies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Puppies never die.
Everyone reincarnates into puppies.
That could happen.
That
You don't know yet.
explains the society collapsing.
Because there were no like able.
If every dead person is
able-
replaced by a puppy, and then suddenly it's only puppies, it's not really.
You're just chewing on
It's
everything
not-
and
I mean,
Oh.
if you build up a society to work with puppies, then it'll work just fine. But if you didn't take that into consideration, it's your own fault when your society falls.
Okay. So it's back to me. I'm gonna add something to the column.
No.
Hmm.
How many of these do we do? Like, how many times do we go
It's
around?
until someone decides they don't want to do something, and I might be coming up on that because I can't think of anything.
We don't have that much stuff yet. More
Yeah.
stuff.
Dang, more stuff.
More stuff. Yes,
More
stuff.
stuff.
Yes, stuff.
All right, I'm gonna add spirits to the yes list too.
Yay! I like this.
spirits
people-
and reincarnation.
So
Yeah,
not
some people might
magic,
get-
but
yeah.
reincarnation and spirits. This is very
Sure.
cool.
Yeah, I can I re-clarify mine?
Well, technically no, but
Because well, given that we've got reincarnation and spirits, I was going to say let's make this magic as being non-population based magic. So if we had divine magic or something, or supernatural magic.
sure.
Not like
Well,
arcane magic, like spiritual,
Yeah, when you
spiritual
said magic, I assumed
celestial.
you meant like shooting fireballs and
Yeah.
something like.
Yeah.
And technically, reincarnation could be.
Be scientific
technology,
in this
yeah.
world, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Jess, you wrote bioremediation.
Bioremediation.
Can you use that in a sentence?
Bioremediation is the process in which biological living things repossess or correct damage is done, such as funguses that can grow over oil slicks and eat them and correct it, or other such natural. Jason, I see you. Usually, other such natural processes to remove or correct unnatural ones.
Okay, cool.
Everyone watching has just learned something new.
Okay, is it my turn? I'm gonna go. There we go.
All right.
What's interesting about that is there's yes, advanced technology, but still no air travel, which
That's
is
right.
interesting. We'll have to explain that.
Yeah. All right, Jason.
But then there could be reasons for the no air travel.
Yeah, that could be.
But still in an advanced technology world.
In the air is where all the ghosts live, and that's we don't want to go up there.
Or maybe they're like terrible storms, or who knows.
Yep. So
let's-
we don't want to hem ourselves in too much, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I could end it.
Yep.
I think we have enough to work with. Yeah,
there's
I'm gonna end it. I think we have a good balance there to work with.
Excellent. And now we do what's called the first pass. We each take a turn adding either a period or an event into the timeline to just start the ball rolling on things. So somewhere. Actually, I'm going to add an event. I'm just going to add an event underneath our first thing. It's going to be a dark event.
Oh.
And it's called...
Sorry.
It's okay.
What did I miss? What did y'all do?
I
Advanced.
ended the we added yes to advanced technology, and then I ended the palette.
Okay. That's an interesting palette. I am intrigued.
There.
All right. So, Jess, this is called the first pass. In turn order, we're going to add one new period or one event underneath an existing period each to sort of give us some ground to work on. And yeah, I decided for my first event that underneath the founding of the city, I have written an event called The Gateway is Opened.
Ooh.
Gateway to the land of the dead, gateway to the bridge that brings us to the city. Who knows, but we'll figure that out.
Okay, so the top
all
card
right,
is the
Jess.
period card, and you just made an event card, and then there's scene cards. So do I have to do that as well? Do I have to do a scene?
You do not add a scene in this first pass. You can either establish a new period somewhere on the timeline, or you can add an event underneath.
Okay. Can I do like a founding of the city, the gateway opened. So do I just draw one of these?
Yeah, if you just hover over the top, you can actually just drag it right.
Yeah, that's
like
what I usually do.
Okay. Now you can choose between light and dark as well. Like I chose a dark. The gateway opening is a dark thing.
How do you? Oh, you fill in the circle if it's dark.
There's a different deck.
There's a different deck.
Oh, I see it now. Do I want this to be light or dark? Founding of the city.
Golden age of puppies.
I'm trying to not do that because I assume you all really disapprove of my suggestions. I was gonna do like discovery of old ones tech or something like that. Or discovery of the old one, or like I don't know exactly what it means, but you know, something. Discovery of the old one is more like godlike, whereas discovery of old one tech sounds more like a previous civilization or something.
Mm-hmm.
Am I allowed to say this out loud, or I'm not allowed to discuss this? Is that something of the game? It's like you're not allowed to discuss this?
Technically, like, yeah, part of the game is sort of that you come up with something, you add it to the timeline. There are certain times when we do discuss, but
Right now, you're discussing with yourself anyway.
yeah.
You're just
As
discussing.
long as,
You're thinking out loud.
as long as y'all do nothing but like and ha over my
The
commentary.
important part
It's
is if
okay?
the three of us don't like your idea, it doesn't matter. You
Right.
put it out.
Yeah. We're just sitting here going,
Yeah, so I'm just, I mean, I am personally debating whether I think it's more interesting to have a sort of a.
I think both are interesting. The idea that we find that Cthulhu rises up or something is.
Yeah, no,
is-
you know what? I feel like I've done too, like, I feel like there's been too much discovery of old one tech lately. I'm gonna go the discovery of old one, like straight up just we accidentally uncover the old one, or they reveal themselves, or something, who knows, just.
It could be a good thing
It's
or a
gonna
bad
be,
thing.
yeah, so that's my only thing. I don't know whether it's gonna be good or bad. Do I want to do light or dark? Can you leave that to be determined, or do you have to
Nope.
determine that? Holy bananas! This game is like
Yeah.
really not cutting any slack. It's
This
like
game, the game gives you all the slack, but you have to.
Right. So you have to make decisions, but we can't tell you not to do any of those
God
things.
damn.
The great
That's the
thing
point.
is
God about
there's
to
no
damn
bad
us.
decision.
Old
There's no
God.
bad decision.
No,
you
it
can't
is.
not make decisions, Jess.
This is the decision, the game.
Decision the game. This is my antithesis. This is like the worst thing.
This is a
for
growth
me.
moment.
Yeah, think of it as practice.
I hate it. Oh God.
You also
thank
cannot
you.
apologize for any of your
No.
decisions. It's in the rules.
Thank you. I hate it. I'm sorry.
No apologies. That would have been hilarious.
Oh man.
No regrets.
No regrets. No rugrats. No Tommy Pickle allowed here. I should have just kept holding the button. I don't know what's worse. Yes.
Actually, Anton, you can start putting yours out too now.
Yeah,
Okay.
Anton. Do it.
Uncovered old one.
Oh no, how do I stick this to this so that it sticks with it?
If you highlight both,
Oh, yeah.
and then right click, you
Yep,
can
yep,
do group.
It should go. Did it not go? It definitely did not go.
Here, let me try. It might be a DM thing. I don't know.
No, it should. I got it. So when do I want this to happen? I want it to happen like later.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Oh, it
That's
doesn't matter right now? Okay.
Yes.
I
because
don't
we
need to
can-
place it. Oh, I have to decide everything, but I don't have to decide where it goes yet.
You could move it right beside this one, and there is still infinite space between that.
But we
first
could
one and this
we
one.
could later move it over if we needed to put something between it.
Okay.
All that matters right now, you're the first one anyway, is that it happens somewhere between the beginning and the end. That's all that matters. So,
Okay.
all right. Anton, what you got? You can add another one of these, or you can add an event underneath.
I've added a duck one towards the end.
Ooh, there it is.
Try not to be too specific. There you go. That's not ominous at all. bio meltdown.
Who knows?
Great.
Who knows, really? But all right, somewhere here, a bio meltdown happens. All we know is that it happens after the old one is uncovered. All right, and Jason, you get to add the last of the setup ones.
All right. I'm gonna do an event. Oops, that did not drag. There we go. I don't know where exactly to place this, but
Well, it's like anything else. If you wanted to happen before the gateway is opened or after, you position it on either side. So let me know if you want me to move this down.
yeah, I want it before the gateway is opened.
Cool, done. I like how small it
Yeah, I know. The default is tiny.
at the beginning. I'm still figuring out exactly what Roll20 wants from me when it comes to making a background and stuff, because the scale of everything is wonk.
The way the stupid canvas changes size and shape constantly is the most infuriating thing.
I'm actually going to look into some other options for these kinds of games because, like, Google might have a better thing.
Like, listen, Roll20, I love you. I want to rep your stuff. Please make it work in a way that I can use it so that I can do so.
The Unending Queen is born.
Wait, where's that one?
Underneath the founding of the city. It's an event.
Oh my god, I love her. Give her to me. Can you make her bigger?
Yes, I did try to change the font size, and it like.
I had to make the other one 40. Like it's.
Hey, what the? Like it looks bigger on my screen, and then I click out of it, and it goes back to a smaller size.
Yeah.
I'm trying to adjust it here. Let's see.
Yeah, that'll work.
I'm like
40.
trying to click it, but I can't.
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you.
I can tell half of this session is just going to be us complaining about Roll20.
No, I don't want that to be the case. I'm sorry. I didn't need to do it.
We're ready to play the game proper. I'm going to be the first lens, as nominated by my friends, and which is fair.
Because you're the only one who knows the rules.
Yeah, I know, but that doesn't mean anything really. But I'm happy to do it.
So you're nominated to go first. That's what it means.
I'm writing the focus up on the top beside the palette, and we'll keep track of all our foci up here. You keep track of them mostly for interest so that you can bring those things back in or whatever. I'm going to say our focus should be something that I just made up right now, because that's this game.
Wait, this game includes making things up?
It does.
What?
The institution I've decided is called the Rolling Parliament.
Interesting.
So,
I like it. I'm interested.
as we go, everything we talk about needs to involve this rolling parliament. Now, it can be, again, now it's the world is your oyster. You can choose from any of the three options, and they can go anywhere on the timeline and whatever. But as a lens, I get to make two things. I can nest two things. So I can either create a new period and add an event underneath it, or I can add an event and a scene underneath it. And then we'll go in turn orders. You'll each get to do one until it's back to me. And then I get to do two more. So, I'm gonna expand on this uncovered old one, because I feel like this means something. So I'll add an event first to go underneath here.
You have to sing the Cthulhu Muppets song while you do it.
No, I don't know it by heart, and I really should learn it by heart. But...
It's really important.
Do you know it by heart, Jess?
So the event is the ritual fails. Then I will nest a scene underneath this that we will do some role playing with.
I want to ask questions, but apparently I'm not allowed. Asking questions is like my whole gaming life.
You do get to ask the questions, but you ask them on your turn. So, yes, this game is a very interesting exercise in restraint. And you'll be better for it. So, so my question will be, and I'm just gonna write it onto the board for now, and we'll add it to a card after. So, my question is, it's more than just why. It's
very broad question.
It's just why.
Why? Screamed at the heavens. Yeah. Why did the bishop leave out?
This sounds like a joke. This sounds like the setup to a joke. What is the punchline?
So a bishop and an old one walk into a bar.
So the question is, why did the bishop leave out part of the ritual? That's our question for the scene.
Ooh.
And now together we kind of establish the scene where it's happening and then divvy up some characters. So there's the set the stage and choosing characters.
So is all of that in the little rules document? Is that that's in the making a played scene part?
In very point form, but it's there, yeah.
The state a question, set the stage, choose characters, reveal thoughts?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And setting the stage is when does it happen? Which I've already determined it's at some point during the ritual failing event. We review our established facts if there was anything to review, but this is the first of this important thing. And then we talk about like where, why, what just happened. So I'm going to say that this happens, we'll find out during the ritual itself. And we will be in a large cathedral that has had all of its pews and benches all moved off to the sides, and like large overlapping glyphs or like holy wards are like being placed on the ground. And the bishop is one of many. This particular bishop is, there's a bunch of different religious people that are performing this ritual. And we're kind of in the throes of it. And then step 3, we choose characters. And as the maker of the scene, I can specify 1 or 2 characters someone has to play. I can also name 1 or 2 characters that no one plays in the scene. So, I will say that somebody, for ease of play, someone has to play the bishop. And someone has to play a reporter of some kind. Someone who's there to document it. And then, now in turn order, in reverse turn order technically for me. So Jason, you get to choose a character to play.
I'll play the reporter.
Okay. Anton. We don't all have to be in the scene. So in this case, there really only needs to be the bishop in the thing because I said it so. But if you want to come up with another character to throw in, but you do not everyone needs to be in every scene.
No, I think I'll stay out of this one.
Okay. Jess.
Can I be the old one? No, I'll be the bishop if no one else wants to do
You could
it.
be the old one. That's
Yeah,
great.
it wasn't a
That's
banned
great.
character.
That is a great idea, and I'll be the bishop.
No, I could be the bishop. I don't want to step on
Well,
your
then-
toes. This is your event.
Yeah, but it's your turn to pick a character, and you get to pick. You get to make the decision.
Okay. The old one.
Do you want to be the old one, or do you
No,
want to be the bishop, or
I
do you want to
don't-
make up something else?
I'll be the bishop.
Okay, I'll be the old one then.
You would.
That was all an elaborate setup.
Yeah. Yeah, you tricked me into stealing your idea. Good one. All right. We'll just quickly put our little summary here. And it is... Okay, so we're in a large cathedral. The ritual is mid performance. The next thing we do is the last thing we do before we actually roleplay the scene is everyone in that same order reveals their thoughts. So each player states one thing their character is thinking about the upcoming scene.
Starting with me.
Yes.
So my reporter thinks that this is a terrible idea.
Mm-hmm.
Just isn't all in favor of whatever this ritual is, whatever they're doing, and also this. Considering we have no magic here, this thing is very. This ritual is very hocus pocus.
Right.
It's a total sham.
Cool. Jess, what's the bishop thinking?
The bishop is thinking that. How much am I allowed to say? Because I have like a lot of thoughts.
Speak.
example-
Yes, speak.
An example here is the navigator wonders why they're really being sent to Corvus 4. He can't believe they'd send a ship all the way out here just to take spectrographic readings.
Okay.
I think the important thing is you want to be leading with the things that you say. You want to drop in some things to yes and off. Right? That's all.
Son to us thinking the same thing. My first thought when you started writing out the bishop was chess pieces. The bishop is thinking that they can work this to their advantage because they think they can get on the good side of the old one if they don't complete the ritual to trap them.
Okay. That's perfect. And the great old one is thinking, I can't believe I finally convinced someone to let me free.
And that this world is full of puppies now.
Oh yes, this great old one is a puppy for sure.
Oh
It's
no,
the
we
oldest-
really have
it's the
to let
oldest
them out.
Oh, bring the puppies is a bad idea.
So now we start role playing the scene, and the important thing is that we are all trying to figure out the answer to this question. Why did the bishop leave out part of the ritual? Although I guess you kind of answered it. But yeah, we'll role play to get a little more details about it. So yeah, I've sort of established the scene. We are all in this large cathedral. It is very what we would call on our world Art Deco, and it's huge. It's a huge church, and there's probably seating for about 1,000, but all the seating has been pushed aside in order to make space for this warding hoodoo that we're about to do. And the place is shaking. And that's me pounding on, trying to burst through this
Let
space.
me out.
Yeah. Bishop, where are you right now?
doing non-magical magics.
Leaving things out of the non-magical magics?
Yeah, making incomplete runes. I feel like I can't possibly be the only one. There has to be other.
No. I
spiritual
described
type
it as there being a
folk.
lot of.
I feel like there's a lot. I feel like there's a bunch of people here.
Yeah, dozens.
Yeah, like lots of people here, both either helping or hindering or observing or whatnot. Yeah, and I think I'm directing people to make sure and like sounding sort of frantic to get them all excited and not paying attention fully as I do incomplete rune, like incomplete scroll work and such.
Okay. As is the Great Old One, has the Great Old One been talking to you? Is that kind of the idea?
I don't know, have you?
Yeah, all through it, you can hear the Great Old One saying, yes, ruin that there. Yes, this is going to work.
Are you talking only to me, or are you talking out loud to everyone?
He's passing you notes.
I'm talking only to you.
I'm trying to think as this bishop person. As this bishop person, I think they are self-centered enough to assume you're only speaking to them.
Yeah.
But, like, I as a person would assume you're speaking to many people. Like, anyone that listens.
Nope, I'm focusing just on you.
Don't tell me that.
So the reporter has these things set up. They're not exactly cameras in the usual sense that we know cameras, but they're these tripods, and they have these crystalline devices on them, and the reporter has set them up around the area, and they basically capture everything, like a three-dimensional recording of the events. Meanwhile, they are sticking to the outskirts of the ritual, talking to people as they get a chance, asking a lot of questions about how safe this is. Has it been tested? Are there precautions in place if anything goes wrong?
The old one would be listening in on everything from just in a metaphysical sense, just below the surface, and periodically would take over a few of the priests or whatever that are doing this to answer your questions, and saying things like, yes, we've been practicing this for 100 years, and it's perfectly safe. Why don't you trust us? Like that kind of thing.
The reporter response to that is, look at this. What are these runes? What gobbledygook is this? And none of this seems like a very good idea. We don't know what this old one is that have built this ritual around.
They give you the same answer of, it doesn't matter what it is, we're keeping it out. And then from the metaphysical below, there's like an impact, and the whole building shakes, and a little bit of like a stained glass window shatters and falls down.
One of the tripods with the recording devices falls over, and the reporter rushes over to set it up. And the old one's voice is in the bishop's head again and says, "Now's your chance. Interrupt the reading."
Oh boy.
For a minute there, I thought Jess was going to hold out for a better offer.
Gonna change your mind now?
I don't think so. I assume a person of this power and importance assumes they're gonna get what they want from this kind of deal.
You want to have my first gift, don't you?
I'm doing this to receive all your gifts. Better not just be one thing. If I do this for you, you better give me more than I can even think of.
I'll make sure that you have everything you want until the end of your life.
I love that. You bastard. Yes, because we all know that's what warlocks actually are. Yeah, so I think the several of the priests and things are chanting and stuff like that, and I'm also like up at the front, like partially drawing runes and partially like, hands raised doing the whole ridiculous thing. And the reporter's like making some noise, and I distracted, like try and get some of the priests. I'm like, what are you doing? Get over there and stop them. They're clearly interrupting this. And I try and get them to go over to you instead and stop the chanting. And I start to kick away some of the warding runes with my feet. Just like
Scuff the runes.
whoops, and like knock over some of the ceremonial candles and such. And
You're the equivalent of your boss looks at you with a pale look on their face and says, "What have you done?" As the ground bursts open and black ichor starts to fill the whole place, and
how many puppies come out?
we'll have to play another scene. Puppies. But the bishop's eyes start to fill with the black ichor, and that's where we end. I think we should end this scene.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
I've captured it all on my crystal cameras.
There is documentation of it.
You all know.
So they
all know the truth.
In the future, they'll all know what really went on here. Because no one survived this. Only the crystal cameras.
That's possible.
All right.
I don't know how to spell it.
And then we have to decide if this was a dark scene or a light scene.
That seemed pretty dark to me.
I mean, it depends. You don't know. Maybe
There was black ichor coming out of the thing.
well, that's presumptuous of you to assume because it's physically dark that it's like.
And your bishop didn't seem very charitable and altruistic, really.
That's because they're a bishop. It's because they're a high-level religious person.
That's the Jess I know.
Whose opinions are these seeping in?
I'm gonna say that it's dark. It's obviously kind of dark. What happened here?
I mean,
there's a darkness to this.
Especially since there were no puppies.
That's the part that's definitely dark.
No puppies makes it
The
dark.
promise of puppies was a lie.
On your turn, you can fill this game to the brim with puppies, and we literally cannot stop you. That's built in. It's baked into the game that we can't stop you. So, actually, and it's your turn next. So.
I have a question.
Oh, I just realized I didn't connect.
Can you have puppies?
I just realized I didn't connect either of these things to the lens, or to the.
Oh yeah.
Well,
So
could the rolling parliament be like?
We'll say it's the church.
I was gonna say that it moves. Like the power moves to different institutions.
Okay, yeah, and during this time,
It was
the big cathedral is the
cathedral is the big power for this, which is why they got away with doing this stupid thing.
Yeah,
because they were the power at this point. But then
This
it
might have been the
rolls
end
on
of their
to
power.
someone else, whoever's next.
So I'll put the event to the. Whoops. Roll 20. It did it again. I'll put the event to the right like this, but you can place events before or after just like normal. And I shrunk it a little bit for space. Okay, Jess, it's your turn.
But I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
The things on the palette, those are all overall things, or can they occur at some point? So, for example, could it occur that there are no more humans now because of this?
Oh, I see. We didn't. Well, I mean, we don't have to. We didn't say what we look like or who we were. So
Correct. People were
I think the
describing
idea-
humanish buildings and humanish people. But we also said reincarnation and spirits was a thing and that no humans was a thing. Therefore, could we make it that as of this moment, there's no more humans? Is that possible?
I would say that you would define that by placing something out to say that it happened.
Well, I was trying to understand / ask about the
So
palette, right?
Palette is from the beginning we involved these aspects, and no humans and no magic, no air travel means that they will never be involved in the story.
So none of those people were human then?
Yeah.
Except that we were all defining them very humanistic.
Well, they're humanoids, potentially, but I didn't describe I described pews, but they could be just pillows on the floor that dog people sit on, like.
Yeah, you were describing a very, like, human building, and we were describing human interactions, which is why I feel almost like it was, and then going after.
Well, like any other story game, this is very flexible. So if you want to establish a period where now the humans are gone, or we're not humans anymore, go for it.
Womp, womp, womp. So wait, it's a new card, like, okay, it's like this, and then I do a thing.
But it's a good thing, of course.
It is
There are
a
no
good
more humans.
thing. Hang on. Wait till you see.
Oh, no.
Does it contain the word puppies?
Wow, Jess is leaning into Jess here.
I'm so
This
pleased.
is misandry, and I will not allow it.
Unfortunately, none of us has a choice.
You can't say no to what I just
Okay.
did.
So to clarify, because you were just talking about there being no more humans, are you saying that's what this means?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There are still, well, I guess there doesn't have to be males anymore, or there could never have been males, perhaps, but.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that there's no more. I feel like whatever the predominant humanoid was, which I feel like we can assume based on what just happened, they were humanish. In a lot of their stuff, but I feel like from after this event,
Or sometime after the event.
Or sometime after the event, after some like infill that can be described by someone else, whoever wants.
Yeah, because it could be the uncovering of the old one that causes it, or it could be something else that we haven't written. Right?
It could be the fighting of the uncovering of the old one. It could be a number of things. It could be bioremediation. I think that. So wait, I'm sorry that I keep.
Before we get
I'm going
too
to
far,
the handout so that I can. So next, do I do an event next?
You get to do the person who's the lens gets to do two things, but
Okay.
everyone else just does one, and you need to tie it back into the rolling parliament.
Right.
Well, I think this fits because there's a new predominant life form, so there's a new predominant power. Like,
but they adopt the rolling parliament because it was there before.
I think that the rolling parliament still works in that, like, perhaps it changes somewhat, but I imagine it was literally like a changing of power dynamic or a allowing for one type of power to never be in power for too long, one institution, or something of that sort. So I do feel like I was gonna say that the life forms, because I mean it says it right there, instead of physical humanoids is now the main beings are spirits. There's still plant life, there's still animal life, but most humanoids are gone. So now, good luck working with all that physical industrial buildings and such. You spirit people, you.
So they're intangible spirit people?
I mean,
They're not solid?
I like the concept of having to try and grasp your mind around a completely different living being. Like, this is their state of being, it's different, and it needs different accommodations. So I imagine they can work within what exists, but it's not what is best for them. So I think going forward from this event, they would want new systems benefiting or that are complementary to them, if that makes sense.
Okay.
All right.
So
That's your go, basically.
yeah. So then I have to do the next thingy down, an event.
Nope. You do one thing on your turn. You've done your one thing.
You said I do two things.
No, the lens does two things.
The lens does two things on this round, and I'm the lens.
Okay, so I did my thing.
Yeah, so that brings us to Antan.
Sorry
So
that I did
you
such
can
a
choose
long
one
thing.
of the three things: a new period, a event underneath, or a scene underneath an event.
I'm going to do an event under the fall of men.
And it's a light event.
It's a light event. Well, kind of. I call it a grey event. What am I trying to do? Text. I gotta zoom in for this. Zoom in, zoom in. Right. No logical. I gotta learn to spell now. There you go. I made a new word.
Oh, I see where this is going.
I don't know whether I can define that at this level or whether that requires a scene.
Nope, that's good enough, I think. I mean, you're allowed to talk big picture about the thing that you're adding.
Okay, so my idea being that men have gone from men to spirits, and the process by which they have done this is, should we say, sort of Matrix-esque. So they become beings within technological systems.
Okay. So it's a voluntary thing, whatever happens now.
Not necessarily. It might have been out of necessity.
Cool. All right, Jason.
Let's see. think I'm going to do a scene under the gateway is opened.
Sweet.
So the first thing I put at the top is the question.
Yep. Asking a question.
Oh, text tool, you're so fun.
It is the worst text tool of all time. I thought it was just my computer being a butt when it was like you have to hold down and start typing, but I'm glad it's happening to everybody else.
Yep. All right, so my question is, where does the gateway go?
So you kind of define a little bit about the scene, and you can pick and choose one or two characters that have to be in the scene, and one or two characters or no characters. You can choose 0, 1, or 2 characters that you don't want in the scene. So if there's a very obvious, character, you can leave them out, for example, or it's up to you.
Okay. So setting the scene, this is at the early days of the city, when there are apparently still people, because the people haven't fallen yet. And everything, it's a fairly primitive technology level. I'm going to say that we are in a city that is built. It's a mix of, it's got like limestone buildings, but everything is high. There's lots of vegetation. There's like hanging gardens everywhere. There's vines growing and everything. And that's just part of the design and build of the early city. And this gateway was a cavern in the earth that that had been sealed. Don't know if it was who sealed it or anything. And it had been reopened by these early residents of the city. So let me add that in.
Jess, we can loosen up on the question asking thing because we don't want a lot of dead air.
Yeah, ask questions.
I feel bad. I want to ask questions, but I don't want to bug anyone.
Just know that Jason's turn. He can, whatever he says is
nay or
canon,
poo
right?
poo or.
Yeah, asking questions isn't the same as directly making suggestions either. So that's.
But
fine.
I feel bad. I don't want to like.
No. It's fine. This is a collaborative thing, so go for it if you have subverting questions.
You said they were hanging gardens. Are they actually like physically hanging in the air? Are they like floating? Are they floating islands of plants?
Yeah, damn it. I had to define something plant-based. Of course you were going to ask questions about it.
Or is it just on the buildings, or is it like...
Well, now you just gave me an idea. I think these plants have like air sacs that have like some kind of lighter than air gas in them. So they actually hang. Like there'll be this large like bulb plant that's floating, and then these like vines that hang down from it. And they've incorporated that. Like sometimes the vines, they'll be hanging down, but then they'll grow onto buildings or structures.
Is it hydrogen gas?
I was going to say, it could be hydrogen, helium.
Could be hydrogen.
Because helium is a really useful gas, too, to like...
Plants won't contain helium.
Sorry?
Plants won't contain helium.
In this world, they might. They don't need to be basic carbon-based life forms, Antan. Listen, we're talking about moving on from physical bodies to spirit
That's true.
people, so I think that we can allow the plants to contain
Helium.
helium. And then you suck on them and you go, talk like this! Oh my god, it's so good!
All right, just because of that, I'm going to say it's helium.
The little
Somehow
kids,
these-
the little kids come and steal the helium plants.
To think I stayed up for this.
We're going to make you regret it. This is how we get you to go to sleep.
You won't do it again. You're gonna learn a lesson.
So now I define characters that are either in it or not just
Yeah, that
explicitly in it.
you don't want to be played or that you insist have to be played.
Okay, I think one character that is going to be in the scene is a roguish trickster. They're always constantly in trouble and constantly causing trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And
Like a Loki type.
yeah.
Okay.
And they probably are strongly in favor of opening this gateway because who knows what might happen, and that's fun. And I think another character that is in it is the Unending Queen, who I'm not going to define too much because I'll leave that to whoever is playing the Unending Queen. But
Is there anything you don't want in?
No, I don't have any limitations about who can't be in it.
Just to clarify, also, you can ban like a category of people. So you could say there are no police there, or there are no wizards there, or whatever. You don't have to specify a specific thing.
During this no magic, there shouldn't be any wizards
Right,
there, but I guess it could just be like people who say they're wizards.
I'm just giving random examples from what's here. And it's not to influence you in one way or another. It's just a
Yeah, no, I think I'm going to leave it open-ended.
okay.
And I don't. What do I put in the third section?
That's the answer to the question.
Okay, so that we don't know yet.
Yeah, and we don't necessarily know at this point if it's a good or bad, a dark or a light, but we can swap in a card if it changes. The next, so in reverse order from Jason, we'll go to Anton. Anton, you can choose a character to play in the scene. You can make a one-up, or you can play as the Unending Queen, or you can play as the
Roguish trickster.
roguish trickster type.
Or the-
I'm tempted to play as the roguish trickster.
All right. Jess, what character do you want to play?
I'm trying. I don't wanna.
Play the queen.
I don't know. I shouldn't. I feel like.
Why not?
Cause I feel like I'm gonna do obvious me things, and I
So
shouldn't
come up with something
do
else.
that.
Come up with someone else, or you could not be in the scene.
Okay.
You can also, so just to kind of expand on the rules, you can play things that are more concepts than actual specific people. You could play the weather, which sounds weird, but you could be your addition to the scene could be describing what the weather is like, or you could be all the animals in the surrounding woods and how they react to the scene. So you're not bound into a single character necessarily, but you're choosing what you're representing in the scene, be it one person, being it something like that. There's one thing that says you could be time. You could be the pressing time on the situation. So when you talk, you're talking about how time is running out, or
Concept of puppies.
yeah. You could just be the idea of being cute.
If anyone else is talking, just stop right now. This is cute right now. This
add
has
some
gotta,
cute.
This has got to be 10 times as cute.
Like a mouse shows up. It's cute.
I feel like can I play a companion to the queen, but not the queen.
Sure.
That way I don't.
Nothing was specifically banned in that regard. So what's your role? Who are you? What's going on?
I feel like I shouldn't define. Well, okay, I'll say it, but then obviously whoever it's Jason's scene and whoever plays the queen gets to define. But I'm imagining the unending queen is kind of like ageless, and therefore has companions of different ages that reflect that. And so I'm imagining being a child companion to appease / help the childish side / embodiment of the unending queen.
Okay, so something like a handmaid, but more like a eternal nanny kind of situation?
No, not a nanny. I don't know about a handmaid. A companion, like I said.
Okay.
Like the childlike ambassador.
Yeah, the child ambassador. Thank you.
You kind of interpret their childish
Thank you.
aspects. And,
That's exactly what I meant. Thank you. That's yes,
and
the child ambassador.
And to clarify, the unending queen you've said is like always young.
Not necessarily like ageless, like
Okay. Cool.
So I don't know how that physically acts out, but
me. Jason, do you want to play the unending queen?
I can.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit out on this one, and you can be the unending. You should be, or have to be, by your own decree, the unending queen.
Okay. I'm gonna change one. Well, I guess not change. Just more clarify. So the unending queen is ageless, but she does age, but she's always reincarnating. So she'll age, she'll grow old, she'll die, and then a new child is born, who is the queen continued. So she basically has cycles.
What cycle is she in? Which cycle?
Yeah.
Is she in?
I think right now she's older.
Okay.
Like past, I would say like 50-ish.
So do you have an old person ambassador too?
Yeah, I think she keeps around different people of different age groups because she remembers all of her past lives. And she sometimes embodies sometimes she acts like a child, and that's when the child ambassador is helpful. But sometimes she'll act like an old person or whatever, and she has people for that, and also the child ambassador to sort of bring her back to, not always acting from an older person's perspective.
Yes, I love this.
Okay. See, and I still got to tie this into the rolling parliament too, right?
As best as you can. We kind of went off the rails already on this particular round. The most important thing right now is the where does the gateway go question being answered. That's the big thing right now.
I feel like this still fits because it's a completely different person in power. Like it's a matriarchal, kind of not religious, more spiritual versus like I don't know if it was patriarchal, but it was much more like institutionalized religion, and then on to technologically spiritual confusion.
Yeah, and something may have happened to the unending queen at some point. We haven't defined that yet, but maybe that's how the rolling parliament came to be. Like it started with this cycle of the unending queen, and then it turned into something else.
That works.
But yeah, where does the gateway go? All right, so we answer that question just by playing it out, sort of?
Yeah, that's the idea. And once you've established, everyone in the scene has to say one thing about what they're thinking, and you should try and avoid answering the question in your answer, so that you can role play. You can role play to find that out. So this is again in reverse order from Jason. So Anton, what is the trickster, the Loki-like trickster, thinking about what's going on right now?
So I feel like he's sat on one of these floating plants. Looking down at a scene below, thinking, how can I screw this up?
Excellent question.
So I think the child ambassador to the unending queen is looking on with childlike wonderment and is prepared to be a mix of professional but also bring their childlike curiosity, which is considered a benefit they have, to this situation.
And I think the unending queen was originally very skeptical of this gateway, and the fact that it's sealed. But her child ambassador, her curiosity is infectious. And now the unending queen is also curious about this gateway.
Whoops! We need one of the old ambassadors. We need someone with some, like, sarcastic, negative opinions.
This is what happens when we listen to actual children.
Oh, no. It's helpful sometimes, okay? You know, they just never listen to the kids in movies, and you're like, God damn it, adults, just listen to the kids. And that's what the child ambassador is here for.
So, Jason, you get to kind of start the scene off and paint a word picture like you do so well.
Okay. So I think starting the scene off, the unending queen is there in full regalia. She's just wearing this, I think she wears like this long trailing dress, and it just has a rainbow of feathers of different colors that sort of represent the cycle of her lives. And she's there kind of perched a little bit above everyone else. And all her different ambassadors are there, including the child ambassador. The trickster is nearby, but wasn't on the formal invite list. And there are just different important officials of the early days of the city. And they're all assembled around this cavern opening that is sealed with rock and stone. And the unending queen has been convinced to investigate it, to open it, to find out what is in this cavern. And there are I think there are some sort of large beasts. I don't want to like give them an Earth equivalent. I don't know. They look like huge snails, and they just have these very ornate shells. And in the shells, people carve things in. Like sometimes they'll carve like saddles, use them for riding. In this case, they have carved these hooks that they attach, or these loops they attach hooks to, and they're using them to pull the rock from the cavern opening. So they have these just ropes running from hooks into the snail shells, and the snails are just pulling and lifting the rocks away from the cavern opening, the gateway. And as the first rocks are pulled away from the gateway, light comes out of the gateway. It's not dark inside, but there's something light inside.
As this is happening, the trickster he's been following this gathering for some time, sort of sneaking around in the background. And he's managed to catch hold of one of these vines coming down from the floating gardens and has climbed up. And he sat there with a crossbow. And thinking that it would be funny, some of the floating plants near where the gathering is taking place, he shoots at with his crossbow. And the gas starts escaping, and they start falling to the ground, where they eventually dissipate the remainder of the gas, and the entire gathering is held within this cloud of helium gas.
Damn it.
Oh no, our very serious event is ruined!
Well, that fit the character.
I feel like the child ambassador is trying so hard to be serious right now. Because they're an ambassador, and they are supposed to be refined and, serious, and I think that one of these, like, floaty bubble plants that's all encased in vines and things kind of, like, slowly makes its way down and droops and, like, lands like a sad hat on one of the old ambassadors, and the child ambassador is just, like, falling on the floor.
Just lose it.
Just losing it. Like, they're refraining from, like, pointing and laughing, but they want to. Because they are a child.
I think the unending queen looks over at the child ambassador who's losing it and is trying to, like, control the situation, but then starts to laugh, and then her laugh is really high-pitched. She's like, hee 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 hee, and then she starts laughing too.
Yep.
And I'd like to say that whilst all this is going on, the trickster slips down the vine and runs into the cabin.
Is this where we...
I'm going to be the first one to discover this.
Do they shout that as they run through? Yeah.
Is this where we find out where it goes? Because you just ran into it.
I'm not going to say. You can decide.
Oh, is that how it goes? So I decide, or is it?
It's very free form. So Anton, if you have an idea for what's in there,
I'm thinking of it in a sort of Stargate type fashion. So it's a wormhole to somewhere.
I have a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What if it's sort of a wormhole? What if it goes into the spirit world?
Is this our first time connecting into the spirit world? Start familiarizing ourselves with this.
Like later on, there's a technological aspect to it, but this early time, there isn't much technology.
Yeah.
And this is sort of how...
Maybe there even is a technological aspect to this wormhole. Once again, you don't have to keep it, but perhaps it's still buried somewhat or encrusted somewhat, so we don't know that, and we take it as a 100% spiritual event / object.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe it's the same sort of technological incorporealization, but they don't understand the technology
yet. We don't comprehend it yet.
But perhaps it's been built by a previous civilization.
I like that.
I like it too. So we'll fill that in.
What does it look like in there, Jason or Anton? What does it look like in the? Is it like inside the Ghostbusters containment unit where there's just ghosts everywhere?
Of the spirit world.
Yeah.
Is it immediately upon entry into the cavern, or is it like you have to go in a bit and like there's light for a while and stuff and like a transition?
Okay, I'd imagine that wormhole travel is semi-instantaneous. So I'm still thinking of the Stargate analogy. So like you jump from one end and you get thrown out the other end, and there's more or less, you're not aware of there being anything in between.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a gate. Except the other end of this gate, it's a sort of world of wispiness, but with shadows of reality there, of the material world. So
so can you sort of see, like, is
yeah,
there...
imagine it like the ethereal plane.
So you can still, like, it's still almost in the same world, but
Yeah.
but everything is more
layered
incorporeal?
over top of ours. Yeah, cool.
That's my initial thought of it.
I like
I'm
that.
sure we'll expand on that later.
I like that too.
Would you say this is a good or bad thing, Jason? Because you can switch that out. You have a bad card right now.
I think it's a good thing now. How do I switch it out? I can move that one and grab a new one, but
Yeah, you can move it to the back, and if you can't, I will.
yeah, it doesn't look like I can.
Okay, to the back, and then that one the other one could just get deleted. Deleted.
There we go.
I'll group these up. And whoa, that was wrong. Did that wrong.
It happens.
I was just saying in the Twitch chat, I love how me throwing a wrench in the works has suddenly become a classic me thing.
Well, in that first fiasco game, I mean, nobody saw what you did coming. So, all right, a very interesting scene.
I'm obviously more mischievous than I think.
But not more mischievous than we think.
You're exactly as mischievous as we think.
Expect, as we've come to expect.
I think it's back to me. And as the lens for the scene, I get to cap it off. And so when you're the lens, I just was reading some stuff to clarify. You can do one thing or two nested things. So those are the options. You don't have to do two things if you don't want to. And I'm just going to do one thing, I think. And I'm going to add an event to our "the city is defeated" period back here. A dark event. All the way over here. The last parliament. Actually, I'm just going to call it the last parliament. And that was our kind of first round. And then, Jess, you're going to take over as the next lens. But before that, in backwards turn order, Jason, you now get a special opportunity to highlight something from what's occurred during this round. And it's called choosing a legacy.
What does that mean?
So you get to pick something that's happened, and the legacy It has to be something that appeared in play this round, either for the first time or reappearing from earlier in the game. You're not making something new. You're just singling out something already in the history. So choose something you're interested in and want to explore more. It has to be something specific from the history, not a broad concept or idea. So you could focus on one of the characters, the side characters. You could focus on this primitive civilization that we talked about. So basically something that occurred or was invented or was referenced in this. And then you're going to actually get to do a event or a dictated scene, a not acted out scene that involves this.
Okay. I think I'm going to pick the trickster.
Okay.
Who appeared.
So there's actually the top card on the bunch of the top deck in the pile of decks is a legacy card. So you can just drag that up, put that up somewhere beside the focus here. So each of us are going to have one legacy in front of us, and you can change your legacy when your turn comes up or what have you. And so you'll want to make sure your name's on there.
Okay.
So is the legacy something that we draw on later on?
So every round, the person before whoever the current lens is, so it'll be me next time, gets to pick one of our legacy things and either their own or one of the already existing legacies and add a piece to it. So right now there's going to only be one legacy because Jason is making the first one. But at the end of Jess's, a new legacy will be picked, and then a new scene will be added based on that. So these are gonna grow. There's gonna be 4 legacies that we kind of carry over from turn to turn, or round to round.
And do I write in here like the trickster?
Yeah, just enough information so we understand what you're referring to.
Okay. And did you say something like I can dictate a scene or?
Yeah, you can add an event or dictate a scene, meaning you do everything yourself instead of us acting it out. So you would ask the question, describe the scene briefly, and answer the question in a more narrative, descriptive way. Or you can just, again, add it just an event somewhere, but it has to be about the trickster.
Yeah. I am going to... Yeah, I'm going to add an event down under the city is defeated.
Do you want it before or after the last parliament?
Before the last parliament.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Well, that didn't work.
So the event is that the trickster returns from the spirit world.
Ooh. Neat. All right. Jess, we start again from the beginning. You declare a focus for this round that we will all be adding things to the timeline about. Anything you want. Anything you are interested in.
Puppies.
Mm-hmm. Again, it could be puppies.
Sorry, the trickster returned from the spirit world all the way at the end?
All the way at the end.
What?
But before the last parliament. Yeah.
I'm so befuddled by this. Like, Okay, so I do a focus. So I go down this. Let's look for. There's a focus. That's the focus. So I bloop it over here, and then I just do a focus. Just do a thing.
What do you want us to focus on, oh mighty lens?
Oh.
This is Jess Makes Decisions.
I hate making decisions.
Just, yeah.
I like discussing things and asking questions and coming up with stuff together. I don't want to make decisions. I'm very indecisive.
Do we want to take a little break?
No.
Okay. That was your out. That was your out.
That was a very decisive decision.
Yeah, that was the most decisive Jess has been so far.
What time did we start?
We started at 7. Yeah.
Oh shit! Sorry. I genuinely didn't realize it had been 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not going to get too far into this game, I don't think.
Okay,
No.
I guess this might be a good place to take a break then. Like 2 hours in is I'm
On
sorry.
On that note, Microscope doesn't have like a defined ending. You kind of go until you're satisfied with where you've left off.
Mm.
But the fun thing is that it can just be parked until the next time you want to start playing again, and then you just.
Yeah, it does.
So what you're saying is this is going to be a multi-session series.
Well, if we really like the world we built and we want to do another one sometime down the line, then yeah, it'll just be waiting here for us.
We could also. This seems like a good game to use as an anthology game where you put other like games in and out of it and stuff like that. It's very.
Oh, you could easily do that
You could have
because you're world building.
You could have a whole other group sit down with what we've done and start adding things to it.
Star-crossed in between all these timelines, guys. That's what we're doing now. That's the new goal.
No, it's every time you do an event, you play you do a whole D&D campaign.
How much time do you have?
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is, I didn't realize it's been 2 hours. I'm sorry.
And when we're back, Jess will have an awesome
Yep,
focus.
I'll have a great focus all planned out. So we will see you back here in a few minutes. Thank you so much for hanging out. Go get yourself a drink, go get yourself a snack, get up, stretch, all those things. Heart your faces, see you in a few. Bye! Beep.
Onto your butts.
hang on to Doe's dear butts, cause we're back. Hi, we're back. For this wonderful playthrough of Microscope, and guess what? I've been told I am allowed to ask questions. That was a big anti-Jess conspiracy theory. Like,
Only you can ask questions, Jess.
it was only me. No,
I like this. Let's call Jordan that on screen.
No,
on screen.
I'm just.
It's
teasing.
fine. This conspiracy's been in the works for a long time, and it crumbles at my feet.
Fair.
So we're back with Jess as the lens, and she has chosen a focus for us.
The focus is flora and fauna. Guess what, folks? Shocking. I just think it's interesting.
We are surprised.
I think we can still do any sort of scene like we have thus far, but also like to keep in mind the very different flora and fauna of this world.
Yeah,
of this existence.
The focus of the scenes and periods and events should all tie into flora and fauna in some way.
And now I realize I'm supposed to do something, aren't I?
Yep, you do the first thing.
Whoops!
You can do one thing, or you can do two things as long as they're nested into each other.
Okay. Oh, hi.
Hey,
Hi.
how's it going over there? Are you alright?
Hello.
Are you with us?
Yeah, I'm just thinking of how I want to do stuff. Okay, I think maybe I'm gonna jump over to the Fall of Men. And then the technological incorporealization. And then I think I'm going to... Oh, no, maybe I want... No, dang it, I can't! I want to address something before this, but not too far before, and then I want a thing, but it doesn't work.
Wait.
I don't understand.
You might be able to do that. What do
You're putting rules on things on yourself that aren't in the game.
It seems like I can't, well, because I...
Jess.
What do you want to do?
Is it your turn?
Do
Yeah.
a thing.
Then you can do it.
I don't
Do
think
the thing.
I don't think that's true.
Yes.
Try us.
Do the thing.
Do you just... Literally, you can put anything anywhere. You can do it.
You're the decider.
I want to do a thing around the Fall of Men-ish and around the time of technological incorporealization to say that there was some, I mean, obviously, like, I think it was clear that the Fall of Men was coming, so there was work done to allow the technological incorporealization, and that there is tech floraology.
So that could be a scene within technological incorporealization, I think.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I had to maybe do like.
I mean, it could also be an event, but I
wasn't sure if it had to be an event or if it had to be like.
You get to add one thing, or
You said
two
two
things
nested.
if they're nested.
So you could do an event and a scene
You can add a
underneath.
new event and a new scene, or a new period and a new event, or just a single thing. If you're doing just a scene, that would be the only thing you would do because you can't nest anything inside of the scene.
Yeah.
But
like,
if that's what
do
you want
I-
to focus on,
But yes, do
the-
I need to put an event under technological incorporealization to make this?
I don't think. Well, you
scene
can't put an
happen?
event under an event.
Oh,
You would put it.
but you
you'd
have
like-
two over at the gate one. There's two.
You can put a new event in the series of
ordered.
events that happen during this
Yeah.
thing.
So it would technically, I guess I'm using the wrong word. So it wouldn't be nested under
No.
technological incorporealization. It'd be nested under the Fall of Men, but it could have happened before.
Or after.
So
But
if you're
Okay.
talking about the digitization of plants, and I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but if that's what it is, then you would decide when that happens. But now if you want this scene, will be nested underneath the technological incorporealization. Big word.
It really is. It's
I
hard to say.
I love it.
I play I grin internally every time it has that word.
No, I really like it. It makes me happy. Thank you for sharing this.
So I think it's sort of your decision.
I assume I have to do a scene. I guess I don't know. I'm not 100%. thing on it, but
You want to talk about the technological plants. That's what you want to talk about. Can you give us the elevator pitch of what you want to talk about?
Here, let me try and write out a question and see if this makes sense, and y'all can be all like, "Nah, you cray cray."
We literally can't. We literally can't.
I mean, you can say that. That's not.
Yeah, I guess so.
That doesn't cancel out that I'm doing it. You can help me define it if necessary.
Sure.
What are y'all giggling about? What did I miss?
In chat.
I can't look at it right now because I have to hold my finger down on this stupid thing to type. Oh, that's so good.
Oh, it's not.
That's so much better than how I said it. That's so
I
much
literally
better.
just
saying that out loud.
yeah. It wasn't meant as a serious thing.
I love it. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you insult the thing I love?
I'm not. Wait. All right. I give up.
Does that make sense, kind of? Because I think it's kind of got to be the mashing of the
Sure.
of Detriadem. Detree.
The three of them.
All tree.
Now you kind of have to set the scene and establish some characters that you want there or not want there.
Wait, there we go. Does that kind of fit-ish? There.
Are you talking about technological biology? So biology within the spirit realm?
I don't know. I feel like there's been enough time between our discovery of the gateway to the spirit realm. I mean, we had rolling governments with different focuses, moving from spiritual to religious to technological, that I think there would have been kind of like how I described, I think, like thinking about a world where people or spirits are living in the spirit realm or have different, more incorporeal forms, you would have had to have started to build your institutions and infrastructure in a different way and consider it in a different way. And I think somewhere in that timeline, there would have been a, like, mixing of technology with spirits and biology. Like, past the code, like, hey, look, we've gotten so far into, like, coding that we could now code into plants. Like, you know what I mean?
Biotechnology.
Mm-hmm. Spiritual biotechnology. Come on, you've gotta mash all of them together. That's...
So I think you have to set our scene, Jess, of where this is happening. Go crazy with it.
I don't know, puppies.
That's not a scene.
The puppies are the one that broke through this discovery. Puppy scientists.
Okay.
Do they wear little lab coats? Because that's adorable.
Yeah, they definitely walk. They walk bipedally so that they can use their paws. And
They wear lab coats.
they're labs wearing lab coats.
Oh.
Yep. And
They're all labs.
They're labs and labs all the way down.
Can I be a pug in a pug coat? Or...
Yes. You're a pugologist.
This is what happens when you set a game later than an earlier game. Jess and I were both in.
Yep. So I don't know, would it make sense to do the discovery of this or when it's already active? Like, because it seems to me like...
Let's go with whatever is coolest.
Whatever you're most interested in.
Is it possible to do something like Man has physically fallen. Man exists now on a spiritual technological plane. And at some point they are able to cross that and extend back out to the physical plane through simple biological structures.
Okay.
So almost like a technological possession,
Yes.
but like of plants.
Yes. Perhaps it expands eventually, but it would have to start on simple systems, simple structures.
So are we in this realm now, and this scene is about the first attempt at doing it?
The first success of is basically of coding into or possessing simple life forms.
Okay.
Okay.
The first successful test of technological incorporeal floralization.
Yes. I can just like.
But this also includes like little animals and things, right?
Not yet.
Oh, it's just plants.
Just plants
To
for now.
begin with, like perhaps like if this is the first time, it's definitely the simplest systems possible.
All right.
It has to.
That's some algae.
Hang on.
And what? While you're typing this up, what characters and stuff do you want to see in the scene? You want to name a couple that you want in the scene, and if there's anything you don't want.
I love that it's trying to tell me that I spelled that wrong. Can I just say? You can't tell us that the word we made up is spelled wrong. Get out of here. We made it up. It's real. It's a real word now.
This is where the add to dictionary function comes in. It's a real word. Add it to the dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
I just typed that in there. It didn't really need to be there, but she just really wanted to type it in there. Yep.
Wait, what?
Technological incorporeal floralization.
Yep, it's there now. The first successful attempt at technological incorporeal floralization. We did it. We're there.
We did it.
We did it. Good work. Plant high fives all around. Damn it. Yeah, it's like little vines going like.
So like a Groot high five. A baby Groot.
Why can't I?
I don't know.
Fudge it. Yes, baby Groot high fives all around. So who's in this? Obviously there has to be like the being who
Dolores
first
the
manages
Fern.
it. What? What did you say?
Dolores the Fern.
Dolores, yeah, inhabits the first. I was gonna say, even amongst plants, it would have to be simple systems. So you couldn't start on like trees, for example, because trees didn't exist for a long time because they're complicated. So it would definitely have to start on simple structures such as like ferns or mosses. Don't you dare, you bugger! I see you. It definitely starts with like very simple structures. So it would have to be whichever spirit first succeeds at possession. I think there's definitely at least another, perhaps the key scientist who's making this happen but has to stay back on the other side, and perhaps like is able to speak to/through with that person. And then I'm not sure who else is there, but those are the two minimum, I guess. Is that how you sort of lay it out?
You describe who you think
because we've
needs
always
to be in
previously added in things. So
Yeah.
Those are the two
and we
minimum
can add in characters.
Yeah.
As long as you say that there's something's not forbidden.
Yeah, so, is there anything forbidden? Humans.
Is there any like faction or group of people that you don't want that wouldn't be allowed to be here?
Hang on.
Trees.
Are you being serious about humans?
There's no humans. No humans.
There haven't been
You
humans
said
in a while.
there's got to be somebody on the other side who communicates.
Yeah, a spirit person. because everyone is a spirit. Everyone is still in the digitized spirit realm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then one person is breaking through to the other side and is succeeding at technological incorporeal floralization. Incorporeal floralization. There's that person. There's at least one key scientist still in the technological spirit realm.
Yeah.
And then whoever else could be.
Okay.
I don't think, like I said, there's no one left on the physical plane, because this is really important that this is the first successful cross back into the physical plane.
We have one digital scientist, one plant ghost
Yes.
scientist,
Yes.
or something.
Ghost in the plant shell. No.
And you're not banning anybody from the scene?
No, just physical presences. There's no physical humans or humanoids or anything like that left over there.
Right. Okay.
That's it.
So in reverse order from Jess, we get to choose a character to be in the scene. I'd like to be... I'll play the scientist that's staying behind.
The purely digital scientist, or the one that...
Yes, the one that isn't taking over the plant form.
Okay.
But is running diagnostics or whatever from the other side, from the digital, spiritual, technological realm.
Technological incorporealization realm.
That's
as
right.
opposed to the technological incorporeal moralization realm.
It's
Yeah,
not
drink that water,
it's
Jess.
not
Drink
a
that water.
technological incorporeal floralization realm. It is using technological incorporeal floralization to get back to our original physical realm, where we are familiar with all that was the previous home of.
There is the
these
real world,
beings.
or the physical world, and then the world of the tech ghosts.
Yes.
And we are trying to re-bridge that gap.
Yes.
By taking over simple mosses.
Well, you can also do ferns. Ferns are also simple.
I forgot. We can
plant
also do
structure
ferns. I'm picking that character, Jason. Do you want to be in the scene? Do you want to have a character?
Do you have an idea of what you want to add or be?
Yeah.
Do you want to be a simple moss on the other side, being all like, "Hey, dude, what happened?"
Just a normal moss.
or an animal that's like chomping on.
I was gonna ask that question. I was like, are there still animals?
There's still animals. Like not, yeah, because what was wiped was the highest tier sentient being.
I know what I want to do, but can I play this?
Do it.
All right, I'm going to be I'm going to make up another. It's fitting with the theme of flora and fauna. I'm going to make up another
Creature.
fun
Do it.
creature.
Yes.
This is sort of like a cat-sized moth.
Ooh.
But it's got actual, like, you know how moths usually have like the 4 wings.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually got 8.
Ooh.
It's sort of got like a fan of wings.
Do they move in different times?
Yeah, so it kind of looks like a blur effect, like an after image as they're flying around. And it is going to be fluttering through the plants. It's probably like a plant pollinator or something.
Okay.
But yeah, I've just definitely challenged myself by playing a moth, large moth.
I like it.
Anton, what kind of character would you like to be? We still have the person who goes on through to the other side to be added into the mix too.
Do it. Do something horrible. Crash the system.
How horrible can you do as your fern?
Yeah, it's a good.
I was wondering if I could be something more abstract.
That's apparently something.
Such as the failure of the experiment.
No. Okay.
And that would make Jess the plant.
The question is, how did technology, spirits, and biology meet? Doesn't necessarily say it's successful.
It does the next part does.
The successful attempt.
Yeah, I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can play as the outcome, as an outcome of something.
It's failure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could play as like the computer that's running the simulation, and then throw the wrenches in the works there.
Could you play as like, yeah, I was gonna say like the difficulties, or like the, what's the word I'm looking for?
I just want to throw a twist into the story.
Yeah.
It is a creature that eats the moths. No, don't do that.
Just bigger and bigger things, eating smaller and smaller things.
Playing the game of evolution.
No, I'll tell you what. I'll just sit out of this.
Okay.
Jess is a plant ghost by default.
Plant ghost, coast to coast.
All right, start us off.
I have to start us off.
Well, yeah,
I
just
have to
at least
set the scene.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I think we as a, I don't even know, are we still a species if we're spirit ghosts? Technological spirits? We as a, God, I want to say like humanity, or like lacking in words.
Just say species.
Civilization, species. Yeah.
Species.
I think we were fighting a downfall for a long time, and we put a lot of like safety systems into place, and we are sufficient in our current where we're currently inhabiting, but it's, I mean, you never want to be limited to what you just have. You always want to go outside it, and there's I think we have been working on getting back. And I think there were possibly some attempts to like start at like higher level things, like to see if we could have like bodies back there. And I was like, that's like so can't do it, too hard. And then like, you know, maybe started like to try and like reach out to creatures. Didn't like work, so like simplified, brought it down, and now I think it's been being worked on for like a little while to reach out to, and it was brought back to, like I said earlier, like we were basically able to code spirits into technological systems. Can we biologically code them backwards? And so I think a lot of research and study was done to do that, and people have been working together on the other side of the spirit gate realm thing. And now we I don't know if this is the first, like, did someone else anyways, we are now, I think, Jordan, you and I are both scientists, but you're like the head researchy doer, like, scientist, and I'm a bit more of a, I don't know, what would the equivalent be, like an explorer, a pilot, a
Intern.
Intern.
Guinea pig.
I'm the red shirt, and you're just like
Test pilot.
We're beings of pure spirit and energy and technology, and now, but we still have interns. Wow.
Definitely,
Shitty.
yeah. I don't think it's an intern. Like I said, I think
Test pilot.
I like the idea that maybe you aren't a scientist. You're just a volunteer.
Just a volunteer.
Like you were this is a dangerous thing. We don't know what it's going to do.
Yeah.
And you
to try to recode backwards, basically, from technological code into biological code.
Yeah.
And maybe the past failures didn't work out so well for the people who've tried it.
Yeah. But we're getting closer. Getting closer.
And where are we? Like, what does it look like where we are?
I think it's not unlike what Antan described, that it's almost like we can sort of still see the other world, but we are in hubs of technology. Like, before we died off, we sort of built these, like, tech hubs or powerhouses where we
Server farms.
Yeah, server farms where we're able to, like, almost back ourselves up. But then you can go from the technological into, like, the more spirit-focused and sort of explore the world a little bit. So we're able to witness the world and how it unfolded after we were no longer part of it.
We could pull up a
The
window
answer
or
is
something.
really good without us. No.
Hmm?
We can pull
After
up
we-
what? Sorry?
I was going to say there's a way that we can pull up a window to look
Yes.
to see what the world looks like where we are.
Yes.
So I imagine we have that window pulled up.
Yes. And I think you are looking out at some, like, once again, some simple plants that have overtaken whatever structure was surrounding this tech spirit backup that we're in.
Would that be bioremediation?
Bioremediation would be the plants removing any bad things we left behind. Unless in
I've been doing
this
that too, though.
world, unless in this world bioremediation includes... Would bioremediation include removing the negative corruptions of the past old one that... While we were gone, there was, like, corruption of the old one, and the flora and fauna started to, like, remediate it, clean it up, fix it, correct it, because the world is stronger and smarter than us. Like, it kind of fixed itself like a scab over a wound. Like, it started to self-correct.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we see evidence of it now as we look around. Right?
Yeah, you see evidence as, like, there's, like, some, like, weird fissures in the ground that, like, previously, like, we can recall when last we were on the Earth, like, when last, or, like, there are stories, or, like, we can probably tap into histories or previous memories of those who came before us, because technologically, once again, we backed it up, and we're able to access and see that these were fissures of sort of that black goopy stuff you were describing coming out, like... This had this coming out of it and has almost been, like, repossessed, like, taken over and reshaped into these sort of green mounds that you can now see the, like, some weird plants and then the multi-winged moths coming out of and things like that, which is also a new species.
So I'm standing at some kind of Iron Man style heads-up display type thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tall and also made taller by the large rabbit ears that I have because I have this not lupine. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm a rabbit man. Deal with it. And I imagine we can kind of choose our own forms. Right now, yeah. So, I'm sort of a rabbity type, and I look over at whatever Jess's character is and say, "Are you ready for this?"
Yes, I think I trust that you've worked out the kinks, and this is gonna go really well.
There have been kinks.
Yes.
Not gonna think about those.
It's going to feel a little bit like paralysis.
All right. I think
You all right with it?
I don't have, like, a form like you've taken. I think I've reduced myself down to just sort of like a ball of light type thing to be as simple as possible for this experiment.
Yes. Any movement that you may experience will be because outside forces are moving it around. We haven't found a way to put anyone into anything ambulatory yet, so
Don't
it's
even
gonna
bother
be a boring
trying to
life
move.
for a few minutes, but well, you'll get to see the world as it is, or at least as old Dolores here can. And I gesture at the screen at the simple fern with a little note beside it that's it's got its whatever its scientific name is, and then in quotation marks it says Dolores.
Oh god, I'm forgetting. It's Aquasius. I can't remember. I was gonna say a simple horsetail fern.
You could have literally said anything.
No, none of us could have corrected you on that.
Yeah. I kind of like roll my finger on the panel, and a vortex type thing, wormhole-y type thing opens up.
Do I just have to like shunt myself into it?
Basically,
Okay.
we need you to just drift in there, and you'll have to move forward until a certain point when you'll just get dragged through.
Okay. So I think you see this little little floaty orby ball of light thing kind of hesitate, but then like push itself like up to this vortex, and it almost looks like it gets stuck, and it kind of like wiggles in.
I like turn it. They turn the thing a little more, and it makes the vortex just a little bit bigger, and you get
Gets sucked in like one of those little vacuum tubes.
Yeah, exactly. Flunk. And we can talk to you still. That's one thing that you can. The connection allows you to communicate back to us.
Yep.
So, a few minutes pass by, I guess, or seconds or whatever, and you are now inside of the fern.
Meanwhile, nearby, there's a large 8-winged moth that is flitting between the different ferns and plants in the area. Just as you're shunting into the fern.
Are you fine? Are you all right?
I really thought you said, "Are you vine?" And I was like, "That's terrible."
Be vegetable.
Thank you, vegetable, mineral, or man. Obviously not man. I think there's some hesitation, and then like I think I'm
I can't help it.
That is so good. I'm sorry. I love it. I think I'm breathing.
Well, that's good. And I like check a box or something off by the side, and like.
There's something coming towards me.
Now, your senses aren't. You don't really you can't see things. You sense things, I guess, but I do not know how that works.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the plant would be able to feel like the moth would be moving the air with its many large wings, and that would cause the shifting. Like you said, you'd like There's something I'm moving, but it's not me. You said I can't move. I'm not moving. It's not me moving, but I'm moving?
It appears to be a local pollinator that has decided that you are its target.
Is this going to hurt?
Not in a conventional sense.
It feels super weird.
Yeah. Could be a bit like a wet willy. You remember those?
No, I haven't been physical.
Back when we had ears. You know what? We'll worry about it when you're back.
And yeah, the moth lands on the fern. The moth is, despite being like cat-sized, it's extremely light. So it just lands on but you can the fern, Dolores the fern, can feel the weight as the fronds are kind of pushed down a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say there are these big like fan-like antennae.
Yeah.
And it actually sweeps over the fern.
Is this what tickling feels like? Is this?
I have only simulated tickling, so I can't really tell you one way or another.
I think it's tickling me.
Oh, okay. Are you okay with this? And my hand is like hovering over a button to bring you back.
I think
you don't know this.
I think I'm okay. I don't think it's trying to harm me. I love the little representation. It's just like The moth is just collecting spores from the fern. It's just like rubbing on it to like collect any sort of.
We only need you to be in there for a minute to consider it a successful test. So we've got 10 seconds left. Whatever you'd like to do, which is I'm sure very limited, do it now.
I think
All those crazy plans you had for
I think I
bird life.
breathed some air because I feel like that's very. I was like, the air tastes good.
Okay, I check another box. Good air. And then you feel the sensation of being dragged back through.
Yeah, I definitely like, whoop, like pop back out and just kind of like shake off, like.
You're still ticklish. You still feel like ticklish.
You are the first one of us to be a plant for a little bit. How do you feel?
Alive?
You mean physically alive?
Yeah.
Well, good.
Box.
It seemed okay out there. Not bad.
Okay. Good. Obviously, we're going to have to run you through some tests, but make sure nothing came back with you. Yeah.
Is that possible?
No.
It's a moth.
The moth comes through the thing. Just like a giant digital moth. Moth
So
spirit.
yeah, I would probably usher you into some kind of room or whatever.
Yeah.
So what happens is that the plant has acquired a virus from the the virus in the technological world.
Yeah. The plant keeps popping up porn for everyone to look at.
The moth is very confused.
It could at least be moth porn. All right. Did we answer our question? And how can you put it into words?
How did spirits and biology technology meet? I think it was the recoding of digital spirits into biological, into plant life, I guess.
Perfect.
Cool.
You want to write that in?
I will write that in while someone starts the next scene.
Antan, you are our next person.
Oh, fantastic.
So you can add an event, a scene,
So, remind me, how is the legacy supposed to be involved?
So the legacy is just something that happens at the end of every kind of round. So, and it's just to make sure that we're always kind of tying back previous things into our story. Right now, your focus is the flora and fauna. That's what you want to revolve your story around a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, the legacy thing you can bring in if you want to add the trickster into somewhere. That's absolutely a-okay.
Yes, I am tempted. How detailed do we have to define, or can we define an event?
I think it's a description of the event. You shouldn't put any like questions or definitives in, although I think you can be as granular as you want, but it should be a one sentence kind of max, I think. So it could be.
Okay.
Yeah. There needs to be room to be able to put events underneath it,
Put scenes underneath it.
Sorry,
Yeah.
scenes, yeah.
Okay.
Like if your event is, the king presses the button and nukes everything and everything's gone and we're all dead, like that's probably a little too much of a description, but...
Okay, so I'm going to put an event in under my bio meltdown period. And I shall be generally broad on it and go. Oop, come on. Biomatter. Zoom in so I can see it. That would help. Right, there we go. Biomatter becomes goop and engulfs the city.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
My original thought was to put this before people turning into spirits as being a reason for them doing so, but the periods are now in the wrong order. And I'm assuming we can't reorder periods.
Nope.
Nah.
You could add a new period that suits your methods, but...
No, it's all right. It will work. So after the fall of men and before the city is defeated, there is this biological breakdown where matter becomes goop and engulfs us.
The technical term.
Yes, goop.
As long as we don't have technological incorporeal goopification.
Oh my god.
No, I'm going to reject that one.
That's a hard no.
What about recorporealization of the goop? Can it go the other way?
Well, it already started the other way, didn't it?
The
I guess
goop
so,
is
yeah.
corporeal.
That's right.
It is in the material realm.
That's right.
I can expand on this further, but it would impinge on somebody else's.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, you would just leave that as an event and someone else could expand on it.
Yeah. I mean, I have my own thoughts on
You are allowed to give a little bit of information so that we understand what you're thinking.
Okay. So my idea was to tie in humans becoming spirits, this meltdown of biomatter within the city limits and the destruction of the city. So my thought was that the three things are linked. Whether this destruction, this meltdown was anticipated, and that's the reason for the switch to the technological realm, or whether something else is going on there. I'm not decided, but that's my thought process.
All right.
And no, I don't know any actual realistic mechanisms for biomatter to degrade into goop.
Well, we'll have to invent some. And or Jess has a list already written up on her desk somewhere.
Is this invasive goop?
Well, is this a typical goop? Is this a like slime, fungus, or mold, or are we talking here that we're bringing this back to the like spiritual goop of like the great old one type?
My idea sort of came from the bioremediation thought, except that perhaps it's gone wrong and maybe you've got some kind of cancerous
like
system
an overcorrection almost, or like I like that.
And it could also tie into the great old one as well.
Well, it's just because we've had a lot of crossovers. That's why I was asking, because we've had like spirit crossing into technological crossing into biological. So I was wondering if this was like biological crossing into celestial.
No. I'm gonna say this is purely confined to the material realm.
Okay.
It is the contributing to the physical destruction of the material city.
However, is the city where we keep our server farms.
Ooh.
Just imagining all these people like uploaded themselves to the digital realm, and then we're like, "Crap! No one can like press the off button now on the, on the servers."
Yeah, I also have further expansion thoughts that relate to that, but we're gonna have to wait until I become the lens. And that might not happen.
Let's see, a lot of stuff to go on though, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Jason, it's your turn.
Okay. I'm going to add an event that expands on this biomatter goop. It's before chronologically the biomatter becomes goop and engulfs the city. I'm trying to think if I want to word it as a light, because I could, but yeah, it might lead to bad things, but it starts out a good thing. And that is that the technological incorporeal formalization reaches a point where they are able to reprogram plant life. So basically, in addition to being able to project their own sort of code into it, they can also manipulate I guess it would be the genetic code of the plant life. So they can start to change things on a fine scale on the physical world. And they can start to tweak ecosystems. Challenge typing.
For a second, I thought there were more cards out than there were, because my little like menu bar was sitting there, and it was all the like little black dot things, and I was like, why are there so many bad things?
We're terrible people, Jess.
Yeah.
Doing so much evil.
I've got a good one to add to a light spot to add to a dark area.
I think the next round's going to have to be a lightning round.
That's fair.
We should probably just wrap up this this go around and
We can always come back to it some other time.
yeah, Jess will do her last turn as the lens, and then we can do the legacy, and then call it a day for now.
Yeah, we've been playing for a little while.
Biomatter, technological incorporeal. I still have not been able to say that word.
Incorporeal floralization.
Editing ecosystems. I see. Oh, I see what's going on. Okay.
Oops.
I'm adding an event over here under the
where?
uncovered old one. It's a good one. It's a light one.
Ooh.
Oh, wow, I clicked and the text box stayed.
Ooh.
What? How does that work?
Magic.
I don't know what
Roll
happened.
20 heard us complaining and they fixed it on the spot.
They went in and edited it for us.
They edited it.
At some point after the old one rises or arrives, animal and plant life immediately, basically at a rapid pace, starts to change so that it can protect itself against the strange new world that is being put before it.
Everything was going great until digital people messed it up again.
Damn it, digital people.
Yeah.
You're the worst.
All right, we've looped back around to Jess. So Jess, you get to do one more thing, or two nested things.
Okay. I do one more thing. I didn't realize I had another thing on my turn. Sorry.
Yep.
Can I, with this, I don't know if this would make sense. Can I do an event under the Fall of Man, under technological incorporealization, that is basically just when all of people kind decided that's the generalist term. All of people kind shifted over into like the digital realm.
Like the exodus of
Like
people kind.
Yeah, the actual event of when it all happened.
Well, but I was gonna say the Unending Queen was there waiting for them in the system already.
You could say the Unending Queen greets the Exodus or something.
Yeah. Can I
Sure.
say that?
Yeah. That's a good event.
Okay, then that's what I'm doing. That's my thing.
All right, I'm gonna work on my legacy since I'm the person who would be picking it this round, and my legacy choice is going to be the many-winged moth. And my reasoning is such: it is.
Too awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so right-clicking makes the text box stay.
No
Oh.
way! You've discovered an important secret.
Yeah. I don't know why they've given that privilege to the right click, but they did. The encounter with the many-winged moth and the tickling and whatnot.
The tickling.
the great tickling.
Yeah, there will definitely be an event called the Great Tickling at some point. But the event, the first transference of a soul into a vegetable, and the fact that the moth was kind of the first experience made celebrity maybe not the right thing, but the scientists became kind of very interested in this creature, and so when the first success was good, oh my god, words are hard. It might be, yeah. Okay, now I'm just like scrolling all over the place, losing it. So I'm going to add. I'm just going to use this legacy to add an event. So, by the rules, I can pick either legacy. I can actually add a trickster event, or I can add a many-winged moth event. But I'm going to add a many-winged moth event. It's going to be a dark event, and I don't know why. We'll have to figure that out later. But,
we murder them all.
No.
Maybe they murdered us.
The murder moth. No.
It's going to be. I guess it would have to be somewhere after the Queen greets us, since we were already in the realm. And we inhabit first animal, the many-winged moth.
So we don't know why it's bad yet? That's something like later?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'd have to do scene.
Because I already had thoughts and I'm like, nope.
I have ideas as to what happened, of course, but...
Yeah, but we're not discussing that
That
yet.
was Jordan's hook to get us to play again. Because now we all have to know how the inhabiting the many-winged moth was bad.
What happened?
I want to add in a focus ahead of next time.
Sure.
Can I do that? Is that allowed?
I feel like you should be able to, because it's almost like another hook to come.
I'm doing it.
Throw it in.
I'm doing it. It's happening.
That's Microscope. It's all decisions. You're doing it.
I've decided it's happening.
No one can tell you no now.
That's like a summary of Microscope. I've decided it's happening now.
So
I do like that the game makes you get over yourself a little bit, because you have to kind of just be fine with the ideas you came up with. Mm-hmm. Because your ideas are good. They're pretty much good every time, and you just don't realize, you tell yourself they're not, right? So I do like that about it.
Sometimes they just need a little bit of twerking.
A little bit of twerking?
Now I'm picturing a twerking many-winged moth.
Yes. My work here is done.
I'm not going to roleplay that on stream.
What's the butt of a bug called?
The thorax?
I thought the thorax is the middle part.
Yeah, the middle part is the thorax. So what's
the abdomen? Is that the... Because it's the head, the thorax, and the abdomen.
Yes, and then the abdomen. Isn't there another name for the butt?
Abdomen is the butt.
Abdomen's the butt? Oh.
Yeah, thorax is the middle.
And then head.
Abdomen is the very back, the back part. So abdomen.
Right. So glad we've established which part of a bug does the twerking.
Well, I mean, it's probably different for different insects, but for a moth, I looked up specifically.
Yes, you would wobble your abdomen.
You would, you twerk your abdomen.
Maybe that's just part of the moth's like mating dance or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's a twerk. The many-winged moth's mating dance is a twerk. Like the wings almost like keep the, like with a chicken where its head stays like perfectly centered as you like move. It's like that. So the like front part stays the same, and the abdomen is just like.
I love this game for what it's made us define of our world.
So yes, my focus for next time is on wormholes.
Wormholes,
that's fun.
Excellent.
That's really good. Because it does feel like we've had a few opportunities for that. There's a few places.
And that will start the exploration of the expansion of the Empire.
Amazing. I loves it.
All right, there you go. Microscope. It's a weird one, but
Is it always this weird, or was that just us?
I think that's partially us.
I have mostly used it as a tool to like build out some stuff. So I would like to use it to with a little more focus in the sense that I've already had some stuff established and I want to get specific answers and role play specific answers as to questions that I've had already. But yeah, I mean, because everyone gets to add whatever they want, it can go in all kinds of different directions. But
Presumably,
one of the games that I think if you add some limitations on at the beginning, it improves. You know, like if you focus a little more, that kind of thing. But I mean, it's always fun. So, and we have a lot of interesting things to work with.
Presumably, if you're using it to expand the history of an existing world, you could define more limitations as to
Sure.
Yeah.
what you're allowed to talk about. So, if you've established in the timeline that there's that humanity expands and going to space, you can't have an event that's the massive cataclysmic destruction of humanity, for instance. Within that.
You could. You just have to make sure that other part of the world happens before that. Or if it happens after it, then you have to figure out why that's the case.
Yeah.
That's the fun thing, is that you can put anything you want anywhere you want on the timeline, and it makes sense. It doesn't necessarily make sense, but it by the rules of the game, it's allowed to be there. So
Yeah, I think it's definitely partially us, because like I've seen other games like The Quiet Year. I've seen people who have played completely serious games of The Quiet Year, but every time I have played it, something silly is in The Quiet Year, and I'm not complaining about that. I love it, but
yeah, no, I think we're a bunch of goofballs, and you guys did a bunch of role playing already today, and it's late at night. In fact, it's early in the morning for our friend Antan. Yeah.
Yes, it's 3 a.m.
Wow.
That is commitment.
Yeah, I'm so glad you joined us.
I get up at this time every Friday morning to watch Critical Role.
That's fair.
So,
Okay.
admittedly, I get a full night's sleep first.
But we should end it here to allow you to go to bed. So let's go say goodbye to everyone. Tell everyone where they can find you. Say anything you want to promote. And let's go backwards this time, starting with Jordan.
My name is Jordan. I'm at Made Up Cartoons everywhere that it counts. You can catch me here again next Tuesday with maybe the final Fall of Magic, or at the very least a game of Fall of Magic, hopefully.
hopefully.
Either the ultimate or penultimate game of
if
Fall
you
of
want to
Magic.
see a silly Quiet Year, then go watch the Quiet Year that replaced last week's Fall of Magic. And Fiasco Friday should be returning sometime in August or in
July,
whatever, soon. And that'll be fun.
Yep. Awesome. Jason.
Hi, I'm on Twitter at Jace Levine, and I'm on this channel a bunch. I run the Spire game that happened today and happens every other Saturday, and then I'm frequently just dropping into all sorts of stuff here, or I'm just in the chat hanging out. So you'll see me a bunch there, and I'm also pretty active on Twitter, so that's a good place to find me.
Perfect. Anton.
Antan Carmilla, practically everywhere. You can follow me on Twitter. I generally talk about hugs and things and not sleeping
Tea.
and tea.
Yes, T.
Yes.
Speaking of tea, next week you're playing a...
Tifissa. I have never actually tried to pronounce that before.
Artificer.
Artificer. With a little companion called Alberti.
Awesome. I still owe you a
think
drawing. I haven't forgot.
Yeah, I need to add some flavor to the spell.
Some flavor to your
Yes,
tea
some flavor.
spells. But
Blend it up a little.
So yes, that's next Friday.
Yep.
I want to say
Friday, July the 12th.
at a slightly more sensible time for me.
1 p.m. EST, which I imagine is about 6 p.m. your time?
Yes. So far more reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I occasionally do creative things when I have time and I'm feeling motivated. Other than that, I best suggest to let me play things on their channel.
And I'm happy to have you play, because you have been a very fun wrench in the system on several games now. I just highlighted and posted our first Fiasco game up to YouTube the other day, and it was so funny to go through really quickly just to edit it down and everything like that. And it's so funny how meek we all started, because you, I, and Jan had never played it before, and then it just went it's just went well, I think. But yeah, hi, I'm Jess, this is my channel. Hit that follow button if you haven't already. If you're watching this later on YouTube, thanks. Also follow and subscribe and all those things. I don't know YouTube as well. I'm just learning the ropes of that, because we are highlighting a lot of our ttrpg content there. But I am a variety caster on Twitch. I do video games. We do a lot more ttrpg content now. And we really like focusing on smaller games, indie games, new games, things we haven't played before. I think just this week alone, we played 3 different games we hadn't played yet. We did Our Lady at the very beginning of the week, which was awesome and went really well. We played Session 0, which is Megan's game, which is also really awesome, went really well. And I used that one for the same game that Anton is playing his Artificer, for a secret mysterious character that I am playing and will not detail out, but that is happening. That is for a fundraising stream where we are doing a Taldore one-shot, a Critical Role themed sort of world. The day before that, I am accepting bribes for spoops while I play spooky games. And if you know me, you know I squeal at light bulbs shorting out. So playing an actual horror game is probably going to be... I probably will have no voice the next day. But yeah, come hang out here for all different sorts of content. Thank you so much for anyone that stuck around. Thanks anyone who is watching this later. Do come hang out in the Discord or follow on Patreon if you want to get into any more games like this. And thank all of you for playing tonight. And thank you, Jordan, for facilitating this game.
Well, thanks for letting me run it. It's one that's been on my list to teach people for a while, so
it's a good time.
If anyone is curious about it or whatever, they can always ask me questions in the Discord, and yeah.
Perfect. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night. Heart your faces. We will see you all later. Probably gonna go raid. There's a charity stream happening right now, I think, and if they're still up, we're gonna go raid them and show them some love. And we'll see you all later. Have a good night. Heart your faces. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for watching.